Hello and welcome to this episode of The Turn. My name is James Buffin, and this week we are going to explore the theme of witnessing and validation and how that can be meaningful not only for survivors of child sex abuse, but also for those people who support them in ways that are empowering all the way around the circle. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy this episode.
The term being found, because I've always spent so much of my life basically trying to hide, and now that I've came to the gatehouse and I found freedom which I never even thought possible. I've always liked some sort of form of public speaking or whatever, even then, or like singing in a band or something like that, but even then it wasn't quite the same thing. And I don't think I was so much ever trying to be found, just that maybe I was just trying to be heard.
Survivors feel a deep sense of isolation, a deep sense of I am different from other people because of what happened to me. I was almost a co-creator in what happened to me, and now I'm separated from the world. A lot of people can be in a city of millions of people, get along with people, but feel completely alone because of what happened to them. They feel like they're the only one.
Within abuse, there's this spectrum of in some cases this is not violence, so it's enjoyed by the child who doesn't know it's right or wrong. They're just experiencing a touch. Then it goes to the degree where there's violence and verbal and physical abuse. So when you take in all of that, once this child realizes that this isn't quite right as they get older, and this child is thinking about escaping, there's this thing that happens in the mind where you just want it to stop. Whichever camp you're in, you just know that somebody is supposed to come and rescue you. And there's this battle inside thinking you should do something, but damn it, you're this kid, and somebody should be there to rescue you. And just time goes by, and if nobody helps you, eventually you will grow out of that thing, that nasty thing that is happening. And you get busy, you get involved in your life, and you go on this other tangent. But it cycles around again, and it still comes back to you. Like, why didn't my mother do this, or my father, or my grandmother, or the neighbor, or the teacher? Why didn't somebody do something? Because we're still confused and we still haven't answered that. Why did this happen?
So the witness, in terms of hearing somebody else's story, has a lot of different, there's a lot of different levels where that works. First of all, it's like, oh, me too. That happened to you too? So there's this bonding, it's this sense of, well, what happened in your experience? And then the story starts to unfold, and there's kind of a communion there. There's a sense of community where I'm not alone.
Because I don't like attention to begin with, right? I really don't like attention. I've never been one for attention. I don't like being,
Center
of attention. I just never have. It was whether I was in school or anything like that, sports like that. Because I was always considered myself a team player. I just want to do it, get it right and move on. But now that I found this whole new sense of freedom, now that I've expressed my voice about my,
you're making a difference, and that's where the sense
exactly.
of found.
And I never really put much thought into it, because my whole purpose of my awareness that I'm trying to put out there is not really so much.
It's not about getting.
It's about getting. It's about
giving the opportunity to others.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really great. That's what it's about.
So to hear somebody else's experience helps to give the witness the words to define their own experience, to release their own story. So hearing somebody else's story, and we love stories. I mean, look at culture, like movies, all this kind, like when a movie really affects us, it hit us deep inside somehow and defines our experience in this world. We react to something that's in us already. So for a survivor to hear somebody else's story gives them language to tell their own story, to release emotional trauma. So it's really, really powerful. Somebody else's story that has an effect on people, and we hear it all the time. Like participants here say, I feel like a 1,000-pound gorilla has been lifted from my shoulder, because they finally found a way to articulate the trauma that they had, and they're not alone in that. and that it was wrong and that it wasn't their fault, and all of those other layers that come from hearing somebody else share their experience around that.
Thank you very much for joining us for this week's episode of The Turn, where we explored the theme of witnessing and validation. Next week's theme is the theme of how contagious part of the solution is to childhood sexual abuse. Child sex abuse has been called an epidemic on the planet, but it's my belief and many people's belief that I know that it's one where the part of the solution, at least, is also contagious. So please come back and join us for that episode, because it will be a very exciting one. Thank you.